Bantu podcast. It's a new week, new day. Tukomyewo leero. We are going to be a little different this time. Tugenda kwogera luzungu leero, but tutandika tugamba yoga itye kanjan saubona kodi jambo oliotya all the different African languages. Bantu podcast. Our goal is to unite everyone. Come back home. Africa, the motherland. Buli to China, we have everything we need to, change and be on this transformational journey. Today we have a very interesting guest. Ajatubulira yani. Julius Oriotya.
Nze bulungi week tebadde mbinga bulijjo, so I'm excited to be back on. And of course tosobola butasanyuka nga mufunye omugenyi, so I'm excited.
Good. Hello, dear guest. How are you?
Hello.
What's your name?
Why did you say we are speaking English?
Byonna tujja byogera. We are Africans. Byonna tugenda byogera ne Igbo balulimi ki byonna.
Hello, my people. Hi, my name is Stella. I'm from Uganda. I'm from Burundi. I find myself here in America. Somehow, you know how it goes. But I'm so excited to be here, guys. So excited. This is my first time ever on a podcast. So if things are going somehow, bear with me. But the journey is going to be beautiful. The journey is going to be expansive. We have so much to cover. Guys. This is our time. We have arrived, and I'm just here to remind you of all the tools and resources you have at your disposal. There is nothing that I'm going to say that you when you're gonna hey, mama, yeah. I remember I even had my 1 milli just here. Let me go get it. Like there is nothing new. Just kubagamba guy, well, let's say like 10 bars of gold wali nakasanga. Gendo chibi. Sentezo bundi azilina gendo chibi. You go and you take your things so that we can keep vibing. Really, that's my whole thing.
Interesting. Yeah, tukyaliwo for people. Joey, oli otya? So commuting microphone yo otubuuzeeko. As you're doing that, tutandikira wa banange. It's a lot of work. But 136 years ago, the Berlin Conference happened. Scramble and partition of Africa. These guys came together. They sat down. They said, "Kati, okay, tugenda batema mu bwetuti, fe tugenda basayirawo ekyokukola." That was to add on to what the damage that had already been done. Slave trade. So omuntu yakuba oluyi lero nakoma n'agamba, but don't cry, sorry ate nadamu nakuba take this time. So 136 years ago that happened, meaning people sat down and had a blueprint of how these things are going to work. Never tusayirawo nti tugenda beera bwetuti, and therefore it is upon us today to change that. The plan is already in motion. So I'm just here to give you good news, let you know nti buli kimu mukirina. We have everything. I mean, back then we are forever grateful for the predecessors, the great men, the statesmen, the countrymen, the Pan-Africanists, Balumumba, Nkrumah, all those big guys. They gave us all the tools. Fetwina just kuteka butesi bino bibayogera and never bakola and the blueprint, it's already there, it's already in motion. Twina giteka butesi mu nkola, and then you're going to see magic happening. It's our time. Suffering is over. That is what we came to preach today. That is why Stella is here. Agenda tubulira. Tell us more.
Nenga tuli serious nyo.
Very serious. Just your room. They're to be more serious.
Kati first things first, story tulina okugikyusamu. Engeri story gye bagyogera kiringa nga bw'otwala abasirikale ne batandika okunyumya story zaabwe nga banyumya from the soldier's perspective. Ne bagamba we entered into the village and then this person said on the radio and this person said on the radio. Kati what we have to do is change the narrative and start from the perspective of the people who are in the village. Remember, what were those people doing and what did it look like when the soldiers came, when the slave traders came, when the imperialists came? What did it look like for them? At them they were chilling. I think when we think about it, we think about 136 years ago, we think of Ambu, Barimu. There was like one person in Akasisida, then kilometers away there was like another person in Akasisida. Wow! It was like the way you see Kampala today. Like your neighbor, people were living life. People had Buganda had organization. Kabaka had his guys that they go. Kabaka wakes up in the morning, he does everyone knows. That the guy tells the guy, they tell the guy tells the guy. Gabaina post office system, Gabaina judiciary, Gabaina what they had all these things that the US is trying to get now. That kind of organization, like it was a steady life going. Now people wake up in the morning, they plan, they have their child, they do naming ceremonies, they do weddings, they do all these things. So just picture it the way you see today. And at that time, sorry, is that music?
You keep going. It's just background music.
It's in Auntie Kwanga, the airport like inside my ear. I feel like I can't hear myself. Yeah. I think it wasn't just Uganda that was like that. The whole place, like Somalia, Baringa on the Horn of Africa, Ngabulirunaku, 1,000 camels, Zitambula, Ziva Mata Musa, Zigenda, Oman. That they're walking. Yemen is the oldest inhabited city. It's one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world. So ever since, for as long as civilization has been the kind of modern civilization we know, people have always lived there. And the people from the Horn of Africa used to trade throughout the Red Sea, Mediterranean, to never get in the Yemen. So every single day, 1,000 camels used to come. Gazibe wa mata musa zirese silk sea, zirese bichi, balese food, balese gold, balese what, to go and trade with the Middle East. So this was day-to-day life. Ngabo traders katinga agenda kusubula agenda what that was daily life. So these guys were having their troubles. The way that Europe had been set up, it had been set up as a feudal system. So instead, we had been set up as a subsistence system. So guy never they dig the land, they eat that. Then just for community, they start communicating with the neighbors next to them and the neighbors next to them. They form a clan, then a tribe, then a kingdom. Now, Europe, the way it used to be, they had a feudal system where there was one person, like the percentage of people who owned the land, 5% of people owned the land, and then 95% of people went and toiled every day and then paid the people of the owners of the land to let them live, type situation. So that's how it was. And these people had to keep making more and more money so that they can expand their kingdoms and keep people fed and what. And remember, then the climate hadn't been good to them. So half the year they couldn't make food. So these people had to protect, like the 95% had to stay there and be protected from the elements, from the what. So with that expansion, now Prussia fights Austria fights Hungary fights who like that. So they started hearing stories. Stories, Marco Polo, against India, spices, they're like, bruh, you mean there's other things out there? Then they had this story of manifest destiny that had told them that their God had given them all of. You remember in Lion King when Simba was looking and they're like, everything that the land falls on, that's yours. So that's what their manifest destiny. Everything that like the Lord had made on this planet, they had decided was theirs. So bawulira Makopola akomyewo atalese silk alese spices tebabitegeera bagamba, oh my God, there's more out there in the world. Uyo Columbus, meanwhile Columbus was a stag, oyo nga mulaba ku street, like omubbi ow'ekiro what, that's who he was. He went, he finessed his way, he arranged his men, his guys, like 39 people. He went to the church n'abagamba, and the church at that point was nga bw'olaba CIA, FBI. Bineria religion, what. That's just the spice on the story. They're the ones who had the spice, they're the ones who had the money, they're the ones who had the ships, they're the ones who had the what. So, nga basindika ba spies nga babayita ba missionaries. Mugende mutugambe kingdom ey'e Buganda. What do their defenses look like? What does their spirituality look like? What does their riches look like? The earth that they walk on, what's underneath? So that the people would come and they would tell you, this guy Jesus, this guy Jesus. And Africans have always known about worship. They've always known about devotion. They've always known about holiness. So when they started talking that story, Africans were like, man, we know this thing. Like we feel this thing. We know, like we have a reason from the earth. We know Mother Nature has given us. We know the universe has given us. Someone must have made this amazingness. So they started listening. They were like, guy, you put it in our book. That's crazy. The whole story from beginning, what. So they were very intrigued. So that's how they bamboozled them. Cutting now how they bamboozle us is by Hollywood. So they give us those stories of America when in crisis, when the aliens come, America is the one who's like, yo, what, and steps in. So we have that thing of America is the class monitor of the world, of the what. So all these things, all the way that they were living back then, we are living now. The tools are just different, the weapons are different, but same exact story. So, nga Columbus finesses his way into the church. He tells them, guys, I'm going to go to India. That he gets Africans who had been sailing all those seas. They had been sailing the seas trading with everyone. Africans had been trading with the Arawaks in Barbados. They had been trading with the people in South America. They had been trading with people in the Middle East, people in Asia, everywhere. They had reached, the Ethiopians had been fighting in the crusades for the Christianity, for like the spread of Christianity. They had been sending emissaries to the Pope before. So all these things had been happening. But now the Europeans are just getting into the story. There was a period where the peninsula attached to Africa in the north wasn't even considered a different the continent, because the Moors used to go there and they teach the Spanish. This is English. This is how you. This is medicine. This is science. This is how you bathe. This is vaccinations. This is what. So like we were the ones who were giving them all this information. The cradle of humanity is in East Africa. Ngawe tumanyi Old Dubai Gorge, that's the oldest living mammal found. That's the oldest remains of all that. All of these things started from right there, and then they spread. So they had already been spreading, what. And by that time, Columbus were again doing his kujega jega. The university in Timbuktu was like Ngabolaba, Edinburgh. They were teaching, they were sending their professors to go and teach in Cairo. They were sending them to go and do research in Palestine. They were sending them to go do where the professors were teaching, what. There's families to this day that are holding on the books that were rescued from Timbuktu. They are studying them at the Met. They are like documenting to see what's in there, because those families have been protecting those books since. So it's not a long time ago. Anyway, so Christopher Columbus agenda financing his way. He gets some priests, he gets some Africans. He goes, he tells the royal family, he's like, I'm going to bring for you gold. I'm going to bring for you slaves. I'm going to bring for you spices. All those things Marco Polo is telling you about. You're going to be the first ones to get them. By that time, nation states had just been born out of like the fighting and the what. They had now just come out of like barbarism, of constantly attacking people in the middle of the night, like just whatever those, what are they called? Those movies of the Vikings just running in the middle of the night, and then you get people's wives out of the house and then you kill them and then you do what. They were just coming out of that. So I feel like I've lost my train of thought. And also this
So the thing is, now what was different back then is, first we have Twina, like first front row seats to what happened and how the trend is going and what could happen if we do nothing. Which again?
Yes.
Because
So,
they can tell you, for instance, Africa loses about $50 billion to corruption every year. That is a thief. Okay, we have to get the thief. But also, Africa loses about $500 billion to, for instance, France, England, America. France in particular, you're sure, because France are in that pact, that colonization pact.
yeah,
Now, in that pact, by Namu Federal Reserve, that they will be holding, centers or residual. This is recent, even up to 2023. And from that, they take $500 billion. Okay, so Tugamba Museveni, Banaba corrupt leaders, Wonaba Africa, fine, Wonaba B. but they have taken 50 billion. But Orio Munone, he had 100 billion. Who is a bigger thief and who is worth chasing? So that's where we are.
That Federal Reserve that translates those countries to get that money back. Imagine someone is holding money in an account and it's your money. Your salary goes into that account. But to get that money, you get it at an interest. So Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Zona to go and get their Federal Reserve that they put there themselves. They charge them an interest to do that. That's the most disrespectful first. But
that's where we are. Chap, tonatubuuzaako ogamba otya?
Gamba mutya bannange Bantu podcast ate nate ndowooza mulabye omulamo gwatandika era gukyagenda mu maaso sanso okukola bannyabo ebigambo byoyogera bituufu ddala era butuufu simanyi na kumanya nze kuwuliriza kati sinnatuuka kussaamu kyange kubanga byempulira biwoomu ddala.
Weekend yakutambulidde bulungi?
Weekend teriiko kagamba mukimanyi ekyo mukimanyi ekyo.
Yeah, so Stella tuwe tukyali awo. Joey tonatubuuzaako. Joey kyekiriwo man. Mute nze.
You're muted.
Nze mbalamusizza mbadde nkyawuliriza omugenyi waffe olwaleero nga atuyisa mu nsonga ezo ez'edda abadde atujjira ddala eri atulage abasajja bano engeri gye baatandika okukola ki
okutunyaga
okutubbamu. So kati kanjira mpuliriza bwe tunaatuuka okubeera nga ninawe wenteramu ka information nja kukateekamu.
So abasajja bano babbi nnyo, they have the audacity to call us poor countries naye ng'ate be batubba sente zaffe over trillions of dollars. So that is where we need to wake up and everybody put a voice before you know it. So Stella, genda maaso.
I was telling Omar the other day, speaking up is an act of resistance. Kuwanga, everything that they have done to this day is to keep us quiet. Everything that they have done to this day is to keep that spirit in us just dormant or dead. They have studied how to do that. They have they've written papers, they've done experiments, they've done what, and formula bagenda baje remixing and it's the same one that they use ever since. So katife baba kwata abana baffe batwala in those institutions to teach us how to do these things, which is why you find that we are meek. We call it mbu discipline, mbu good manners, mbu we answer to authority, we what, but we are meek. Tetwogera, tetukola ki. So
you mean taking children to boarding schools?
Yes, but I'm really so excited to be here to share all this information with you guys. I am obsessed. Every day I say, like, I'm always, if you're not on this current event trend and how it relates to history and where we've been, it's so interesting. It's better than any movie. If you're interested in like sci-fi, the kind of movies you like, like Avatar, alien invasion movies, all you have to do is read a story from Columbus. All you have to do is watch a documentary. Avatar has nothing on what Columbus did. That man appeared on the Nara, and those people had been trading with other visitors for a very, very long time. Abantu that all get the same languages, nothing in common, no religion, no dress code, no skin color, nothing in common. People used to just show up on the coast, and then the Arawaks would run there, and they would give them this, and then these people would give them this. They would feed them, they would show them what they have, they would do this, they would do that, and the visitors would move on. Then the next time they would come. So it had been going on for generations. So when they ships, so they ran to the coast. Columbus himself writes, Buddhist people came, they were very majestic, they swam long distances than he had ever seen. They came out to greet them, they gave them food, they gave them what? And I immediately took them as slaves. I knew these people would be very easy to enslave. These people had systems of math, they had systems of governance. Baringa Babera under the same roof, like 600 people. But that they are organized, that the kids are all well-fed, educated, that they don't have to go to school to learn things that kids knew. Abana bachonga, they know which season does what, which medicine, which herb cures this, which what does what. Nebagamba, their OB-GYN organization was crazy. Nga abakazi bagenda ne bagamba, I like I've now grown. I'm at a point where I want to have children, and then they would go and select the person to have children, which is in accordance with our biology today. We have found out today that the egg is the one, the sperm rushes to the egg, and then the egg just considers whatever sperm has reached, and then when the sperm that it wants arrives, it's the one that opens up, and the sperm goes inside and fertilizes. But the way they've told that story, they say, oh, what the fastest sperm is the one that rushes and enters there. Like, what in the way that we exist as human beings shows that because women are sitting here and women are being hit on by all these different people, and then they are the ones who choose onogwengendo fumbira, onogwengendo zalida. This is the person that I'm going to choose to be my man. You get? And that is the same way our biology works, and that's the same way the arrow works in their society organization. So the women would find they would be deciding, okay, I'm ready to give birth, whatever, and then there would be a flock of men and they would pick a man, and then they would go and they live in a specific thingy that they're all doing all the same things, each according to his ability, to each according to his need. Then the women would, the entire midwifery would be taking place, and even in Uganda, they were doing C-sections before colonialism. So they would do the whole thing. Omukazi nazala lero enchanga, they're moving around, they're fine, they're doing what? So we are going backwards, and it's to a point where we have to free us until we are backwards. For real, for real. Anyways, so nga he reaches the shores, that those people bamubuuza, betukola, we are very hospitable. We invite all these outsiders, we are what. Now the imperialists don't care. They don't want you, the human being. They want you as a resource. They want what you have as a resource, as a fuel to keep this whole thing standing. Because that's the only thing that's keeping this whole thing standing. If Africa stopped giving France money, France would die tomorrow. It wouldn't keep going. So anyways, the Arabs didn't know that, man. They went, they are inviting them, they're showing them the things that they've gotten from all these other visitors that they've had. Nga Columbus is asking them one thing: gold. Where is the gold? Where is the gold? That Arabs are like, bro, like we don't know what you're talking about. Now again, that he dispersed these people into the villages, into what? Imagine in the middle of the night they start killing people, but they are searching into their houses for the gold. Because these people were adorned, they are what in the obviously that trinkets, what. Those are the things that they were fighting over. So Columbus, that he lived his people there, he got his slaves, and he continued inland, that he's still looking for gold. The man went and he wreaked havoc. He wreaked havoc all over the place. And now today, when they tell the story, they be like, the conquistadors. And when they say something like that kind of word, okay, but that sounds sophisticated. That sounds like intellectuals, explorers, adventurers. Great. Murderers. That's all they were. So whenever they be that they're telling the story, those words that they be using, back to buzabuza. Like we have to remember replacing these people with the actual words that they were doing. So that's how they took over. And Mpola they started, more people came from Spain, from Portugal, after hearing of his success, that he has taken all these people for slaves. He has found out how they grow food, how they do what. They took over the continent just like that. So, Bamalok taking over continents, but back continuing that now they are in a time of prosperity. Everything that they need is free. They are now discovering sugar. They didn't know sugar, but they need people to go and grow that sugar. So they decide, they sit down, they're like, bro, we're going to need a whole like army of workers to keep growing this sugar. So that's where the invention of black as the identity came in. And the problem with this thing is that every time that we let the imperialists, the colonialists, every time that they win, we get a lower level of existence. And philosophers have studied this condition to a point where now we have to work from like we have to work into our humanness. And it's not that I'm a human being. I deserve to, at the very least, have achieved that Maslow's pyramid of needs, that lower bar of food, shelter, water, all of those, my bodily needs. That's where we are starting the bargaining conversation. Kubanga, these people, we've let them win, and every time we win, we get to a lower level of existence, a lower level of existence. So this is the time that when they need workers, this is the time that they introduce the entire concept of a black person. Before that, it didn't exist. And people keep talking about, oh, black people sold other black people. Like, bro, black people didn't exist. Black people are just a figment of the imperialist imagination that we are now living in. Before that, you were Igbo, I was Ashanti. You were Msoga, I was Muganda. Like your black things, my black things, I didn't know. Abamu baali ba albino, abamu balina amaaso nga ga bbulu, abamu balina biki biki biki, abamu baali beeru, abamu baali baddugavu, abalala baalinga bajja. People used to come from Oman, from where people who are light skinned for what? Those were your things. Some people were tall, some people were short. Have you seen the dinkas of before? They were tall. Abatusi, abawavu, abapygmies, bampi. People used to just come as they were, uniquely designed. So that wasn't really like, it would be like, fat people all have their own race just because we want to use them in some type of way. But now when we're talking about the story, we say we don't need reparations, we don't need any kind of reimbursement for all the trauma that we've experienced because black people also sold black people. Not remembering that classification has never existed before. That classification is us going down here because the imperialists won. So
because they write the story.
Because they write the story.
They're the ones who write the story. And
yeah.
Ate kirungi nti stories no entuufu gye ziri. When you go looking for answers, you get the answers. You know, everything is there. Like we said in the beginning, we have everything we need. Plan eri complete. Webanga it's a blueprint, it's complete, ready to be handed to the city inspector, approving it, and then we begin the process.
Ready to go.
But that begins with actually impacting ourselves, equipping ourselves with such knowledge. Netukkiririzaamu ng'omuntu, ng'omunnayuganda, ng'omuddugavu, omufirika, son of the soil. Because it's going to get worse. Like we were talking about it last time, Nongamba actually, you know, we try to compare this to nga bolaba kati ekiri mu Palestine and Gaza. Stella probably just to wait out something more about that. But the point here, their success is based on our failure. Succeed. Julius, like right now, but tugamba, I asked you this question on Friday. Singa tugamba tugenda kola for 72 hours. All black people. You know what happens? Overnight for 72 hours. Tugamba, like at least 80 to 90%. Of course, some people won't, but even if it is 80% of the population, because we are everywhere. Tulimu airline, tulimu hospitals, tulimu medicine, tulimu
Air Force.
tuli buli wamu. Okitegeera. But tutandika na kwekkirizamu tugamba amen. Ekiri Palestine, after that is done, they are coming for you. Okitegeera. It might look like you know, we shouldn't care, but actually this is part of the blueprint we have. The twin visualization we can see. Edda twabeeranga ne soothsayers abo fortune tellers nga balina bit okulaba nti, you know what is coming ahead si kirungi naye mukole bwe mutne neffe tulina TV ekimu tukiraba bagenda ne bakuba bomu, you know, Hamas ne bakuba biki and we just turn a blind eye and that's it. People die, end of story. There is a lot that is happening. Okitegeera. So kati awe tuli tutandike, you know, accept who you are as a black person, because if you don't, kabaka with them, they are coming. They're really coming.
They are coming just like they did before.
They are coming.
Because
But
now, right now,
the thing right now is we have everything. Tubirabyeko. Their tactic is divide and rule, you know, to creating a ka genocide, to creating tugembe nti Sudan erwana ne gundi, Wakongo erwana ne gundi, ADF bichi, then we take out all the oil, all the oil, all that uranium, everything. So that is the oldest tactic in the book, having you fight each other. But if you conquer that, if you get that before, this has happened before. It was in Equatorial Guinea about 25 years ago. Boba Chizura, they didn't fall for that trap. And you know who the victim was? A son of British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Ngagezako kutandika some kind of instability. So Equatorial Guinea about 25 years ago, waliyo, you know, bagala yingira kufuna gold and all the minerals. So they go through the border of, I think, South Africa. There was another country, but these were two white boys. They are on a hunting trip. Just hunting. No more hunting. Umuntu kyagenda ku hunting with an arsenal of weapons. So the story backfired. Bali bakajjawe bati Mugabe, that is where Mugabe is somehow credited. Yagamba, okay, mubaleke bayingire and everything. After everything happened, they were arrested at the airport on takeoff. So if you don't get such small things, nokakwatanga tekanavayo. Singa bali mu lutalo kati nga yatuddamu tuga abanaye abafirikaate tweyamba tubera mu kulwana tubera mu kwetta. Meanwhile, the global cake is taken. So
I think
we are not fighting. We are just ahead, a step ahead. Like chitandikanga, it's, you know, something small, but trust me, we have all the tools. We have social media. We can reach any part of the world right now. Was always akati mkwano gu ali Japan nafuna message instantly. This is what is happening.
So Umar, if I may ask, if I may ask,
yeah,
kubanga right now obuzibu twina, these guys have succeeded in corrupting our leaders. And in our nature, Africans, we've been made to follow, to be very submissive to our leaders, to be very accepting, to be very welcoming. And these guys have really corrupted our leaders in Tibabagamba Bugambi, saying, oh, I know you get this, to you get this percentage. So if I may ask this time, this question I want to ask our guest, Stella, what would you suggest? What would we do? Right now, we're seeing we have a hard time okubanga tuli wamu nga abantu. Yes, we can say, okay, let's resist. Because what right now is happening in Palestine is genocide and ethnic cleansing as it was happening in our time when they were colonizing us. Everybody's seeing it, everybody can touch it, but no one can stop it. So fe abaddugavu we tulaba kino, okay, yes, tukitegeera tukiraba nti kyali kihappeninzeeko. What would you suggest nti tutandike? How do we revolt? How do we say no? How do we even stop? Nga yes, Umar agambye nti stopping ebintu bino nga bikyali bitono. At this point, balida baffe bennyini be ba activating things to go on. So what would you suggest? Where do we really begin?
Kati, we just have to remember the status quo has ended. This thing has died. It has burnt. It's done.
It's done.
What we need to do is to make them as redundant as they are right now. Because now, just think about it. If you want news, talking again to CNN, talking again to BBC, talking again to MSNBC, you're not going to go to Fox News because there's nothing there. If you're wondering, hey, what's happening, where you're going to go to the people that you follow actually online, and then you're going to look for them yourself. We have made these people redundant. Today, as we speak, they're already redundant. Even the leaders that we have in Africa. But They're now just trying to hold on to power by doing that G77 and by doing the non-alignment movement conference that's going on in Kampala, what. But we don't need them. Have you ever been there and you say, my life, this thing is happening in my life today because Sevo has given it to me, like the goodness in my life. Like I say, oh, I'm sending my mom mobile money, and it's because Museveni is the one who has bought that thing for me. There's that that they do for us. All we have to do right now is to step into the light and do that thing for ourselves. And we have all the tools. So if we are thinking of, let's say, over the education is bad, the education is what, we ourselves have to go there and organize and start doing, because it's actually very shameful. Because what kind of world are we preparing them for? They are going to forever and always be people who work with their hands because they don't know computers. And this is something that we can do. Also, we're looking at right now on a website and you look for used computer parts and you buy them. If you have like a budget of like 10K, you can get these used computer parts, use what, and you take them to Uganda and you distribute one whole district. Kids learn how to put together a computer for themselves, and that becomes a class. In S1 Botuka, once a week, you go, the school comes and brings for you the different components of a computer, you put them together. That just become a class. We keep going like that. We set up our own healthcare things. We set up our own journalism things. We set up our own transportation things. And we turn them into redundancies that they already are. So, Shaku just stepping into the light and we take our inheritance that has been given to us, that has been left here. There's no one who's speaking for us. Uganda right now is just vibing. We survive despite all the odds. Ozuka kumatango manyi ogenda kulwana. Ogenda wali ku taxi, tomanyi eyinza okubeera 2,000 okutuusa banda paka Kireka in the evening that it was Lukumi before. No one is going to change anything for you. You get to, if the border guy likes you, to take you from Bweyogerere up to Chinawataka, aizo kutwalira citizen. If he doesn't like, aizo kutwalira citizen. But it's because we haven't said anything. We haven't sat down and really thought about our existences. Because our existences don't occupy our minds. We don't occupy our minds. We've given our minds over to the problems of other people. We sit here and we constantly talk about things that don't concern us. We are like, what things, problems that, yes, they concern us as human beings in this realm, but they are far away from us. And we discuss Trump and we discuss what. We need to come back and we discuss these things that affect us on a daily basis. But anyway, I don't know if that answers your question.
Something that you can start with specifically, much more broken down. But I will tell you one thing. Siri mukuru nnyo naye Mityana district yona twalina computer cafe emu yokka, one like this. And this is not so long ago, like I'm saying. Siri mukuru nnyo, but 20 years ago. 20 years ago is not a long time ago.
No.
For a whole district to have one internet cafe.
2000 what?
Which again? So imagine we get, and we are in a place, in a time of our lives where we have so much abundance. No $10, $10, anything that you do. Imagine that cafe. If someone had like 5, nganatandise leero okuyita muntu nti Shafi Julius oyinayo computer enkadde gwoba toyina, someone actually agina atagikozesa. By the end of the year we have over 1,000 computers. How many of those computers can be distributed in a district? Now that is just one sector of IT. The thing is to open up your mind and see ogenda kuyamba ki, ogenda kukola ki. Or not you directly, but who do you know? We need therapists, we need counselors. People have so much pain. They are going through so much. We need people to heal our hearts. We need people to talk to us. Shafi, that is where you come in.
Era so true nti
But on a global, on a continental level,
yes, so
because
true.
we have social media to distribute any part of the world.
Umar, at this point, era buli muntu ajja kugamba nti right now nti the most ekintu ekigenda okuba in high demand is people who can counsel, people who can change people's thinking, people who can talk as exactly as we are talking right now, people who can wake up people who are sleeping currently. So bagenda kuba in high demand because apparently not everybody can wake up without being nudged. Okitegeera. Naye like mbadde njagala kuwulira mukulu Lambert ku question gye mbuuzizza njagala kuwulira what's your view on that question kubanga nga tonnaddamu waliwo ekintu Umaru kyayogeddeko awo. Yes, it's easy to get these computers. It's easy to mass collect them and get them. Naye jjukira bali abantu bembagambye batuteerayo people who are policing us. First of all, like njabawa example y'okuleeta amamotoka amapya mu Uganda. Nti at this point right now, Shafi wemba njagala okuleeta emmotoka nga nnungi, tebagikyusiza zi odometer tebakoze eki naye nga eri used ku ssente ntono nnyo ngenda gituusa e Uganda baginemese lwaki emmotoka njiguza omutwalo gumu bagenda kunkuba almost neno taxi ya mitwalo 2. The same thing ku computers ezo. We can do the collection. We can start telling people banayi tukole kino naye bagenda kukuba omusolo nga at the end of the day abantu bangi batono nnyo abagenda okuyitamu. Yes, waliwo abatagenda giving up kuba they can see the big picture. Naye ogenda kubeera n'abantu bangi nga balemwa. Oba okitegeera.
Julius agenda kuddamu
kati awo Julius wenjagala otandikire.
Those are problems of yesterday. Shafi ekintu tonakitegeera. Those are problems like weebiri bikyagenda mu maaso but tebisobola beera sustained. It's impossible. Rome is falling. It has already started falling. So those are problems of yesterday. What I want to focus on, mindset, the solution. Okitegeera. Naye tetugenda kugamba nno tetugenda kufacinga any kind of resistance. It's going to be there. But one thing we've known about Africans, we are survivors. Ekyo kyo mwenna mukimanyi. Doesn't matter how many they kill. Doesn't matter. Leopold, that Belgian guy, Congolese, Bameka. Doesn't matter how many people they take from slave trade. Because slave trade alone took over 20 million Africans. That is a long number from 500 years ago. A big, big number. But we are still here. We know one thing. We know how to survive. So those are problems of yesterday. The problems, the solutions that twagala zigenda we can survive such problems. Obo butono nnyo. Julius.
Njagala supporting what Shafi said. At least point jagambyeko naye I also want us to go back to the whole idea okuwandika ebintu bye twagala, because what we have right now is not a conducive environment. Tulina ideas nyingi. Tulina ideas, but the current environment is not conducive. Ekintu kya computers nga Shafi waga ogenda zikuŋŋaanya, yes. Otuuke mu Uganda ogambe kati ngenda mitiya nayenda ziteekawo. Nga tonaba kulaba meya w'Emityana, LC5, MP waayo, okitegeera how the whole process goes down. At some point, you may be so frustrated, n'ozivaako ovi n'olinya ennyonyi n'okomawo, because we do not have the leadership currently to support such ideas. Ffe tukirina nga generation yaffe. Unfortunately, the people we have in power are from different generations. They don't think as we do. So, tuwandike, as I said, mwaka gwa kulekaana tulekaane, whoever hears the message, can at least, get it to the next leader over LC2 over LC5. Namugambo ojja kufuga wano naye tulina cafe emu. In this generation, tetusobola kuba tulina cafe emu. Okitegera tuleekaane, yes, that's nga bw'ogambye Shafi.
So ngenda kuddamu
for people that can communicate.
Just to make it much more clear with solid example. Like 5 years ago, we didn't have anything like social media influencers.
Possibly.
Everybody knew. Genda ku TV, genda ku radio Boston, genda ku Kitegeero otwale akalango ko bakakube. Like nobody knew where this was going to happen. TV stations in Uganda.
Twalina ba bloggers.
Zichakola. Twalina blogger nenga teba advertising. Then they were not bigger than radio stations. Nekati mulindeko nfunye omukenyi.
So kati olaba lwaki social media influencer jakola. Oli mu kutunda omi. Okitegeera oba omo bwe bamuyita. It has no specific impact on the person in power. Okitegeera. For example, ono mwana ani, this MP from Kawempe ani Sejirinya swears in naleta all these ideas afunye like yaleta CT scan over from Norway. Some organization gave him a CT scan. We need these machines in Uganda, but look at the response he got from government. He is out of the country, flies back, Nebamugamba, murders ezibadde e Masaka, yabadde azukola. Like, these are the people we have in power. That in itself curtails all the ideas we have. Of course, our generation has so many ideas. We've been so exposed. So tumanye chitufu, tumanye nga Stella watugambye where the problem arose, kuvadaba batukyusiza naye twekyusiza ffe nga we tuli. N'abantu atukulembera bo, either by being, on payrolls nti France yateekawo president on Nigeria we mumujjako bagakulwana because bakimanyi yabaleka ne bafulumya natural gas nga we baagala. Okitegeera. That's what we are dealing with.
So Chembade ngamba luli before I got cut off is the plan is already in motion. 5 years ago twina our social media influencers. Right now, genda kubukedde TV kutwalayo kalangoko. Waliwo omwana ku TikTok asookuwa millions of views, numbers, and effective views, because TV zins obutakwira kituufu CNN or Fox News, they can make up numbers. But wona genda ku show Shannon Sharp or Jalaba and Cat Williams maybe 50 million views in 7 days. CNN is not going to give you their numbers. But even their numbers were nazikuwa. Some of these numbers abantu babira mu America with TV stations and nga ba connecting a cable nga bayine nyumba, but they don't even watch it at all.
But it's generational.
Okitegeera. So when this happens, chentekeza kugamba like ebyo ebizibu like bitono nnyo compared to what we need to achieve and focus on. Buntu butono nnyo. There is a way we are going to overcome that. And a plan is there. It might be already in motion, we don't know, but like nadala for leadership, onanganyo tekawo kino, onanganyo yengeza kino. When you look at all those leaders, that is the aging population. They are all dying out. They no longer going to have any kind of power or say or anything. This wave in Africa that is Malema, Banyabo, Nabona it's going to sweep across like wildfire. Chitandika muchiraba mungala Arab Spring, but you have no idea what's coming. But when that time comes, are we ready? Because it's already coming. Like the plan in motion, teach us all kudda mabega. It's already happening.
My train has left.
Like bino between okweliyikira konti bananga ate URA ate musolo ate museveni ate biki awo twavuddewo dda. Those are problems of yesterday. But now, when Banku Gambe Kati Julia so Shafi, can you really do this? can you get this? Can you get into this? Can we formulate a plan that is going to ngawe nagambi those guys Berlin conference basoka kutuula wansi. They drew a plan that is still working up to now. From slave trade, never created something nicer, but actually more subjugating colonialism. So colonialism, they are the film actors, they are the saviors. They are now we abolish it. Then they are like, okay, we're heroes. Before you know it, it's neo-colonialism. And now neo-colonialism is dying out. There is something else coming. That is what I'm trying to tell you. We are going to curb before it happens.
Uma, nze actually olabika wantegedde bubi. I'm not trying to send kyetuliko kikyam nti it can't happen. Nayagadde kusooka ndabe oba tusobola okufunayo other ideas. Naye oyogedde mubadde oyogera katikati like 5 minutes ago. Oyogedde exactly what was in my head. The way I see how these things could happen, it could start with people like us. We could start also having connections from our group. We have another podcast like this. We tell them the idea. We tell them just like or you get them mentioning the Arab Spring. Arab Spring. That's the only way right now. Internet can help us connect. Netusula ne government yezo.
Now, if we didn't go to work for 72 hours, it's done. Rome is down.
Right now, they're the biggest roadblocks that Tulina. But to overtaxing, but to policing, they will kill you because you're taking away their food. Literally,
some people will die in the process, which is okay.
And grandchildren. But the best tool we have right now and where we could start is the Arab Spring game. The same system we could do. Kati Bantu podcast. If we have me and you, if we have another friend who has the same podcast, we tell them start saying this, start saying that. Nabala nabatandika. And the funny thing is, no butachikolo because katonda nze ni muntu wa katonda. Now there is a way katonda ja manifesting these thoughts in human beings. For nobody natural people. Nze muna nsonyiwa nti I have this belief nti abantu abamu they are hybrids. They are not as human because lwaki ngamba bwe ntyo nti ebintu bye bakola tebirinamu empathy, tebirinamu anything eraga nti they are human beings. Ochiwulira. That's why I have that sentiment. Anyway, back to the point. If we start doing this, netubeera nga tuconnectinga, netubeera nti tuzuukusa abantu, netutandika okubeera nti abantu baga nti, hey, this is where we get the information. Because yes, right now, the tools are here. In social media, Instagram, TikTok, and all that, they're here. YouTube is here. But you need people to come to these streams to get the information. So, it needs a system to follow that system. Okuberanti tutandika something. So I believe it can be done, but it has to be planned out. Nga Julius Wagambi, you need to write. You have these steps. You write them down. There's so many of them, but you have to write them down. Noberanga over systematically. Noberanga otuka kuchi. Si tukuzikasuka around there anti jeziri. Abantu ne balema okutuuka ku aneno. Naye Joey, njagala kumanya, what's your thought about this? Sinawulira your input.
Thought yange egenda kubeera bweti. First of all, I think 1 or 2, 3 podcasts back, Julius yayogera ku leadership. Nze ndowooza buli kimu kitandikira ku mufuzi. Ngenda bawo ekyokulabirako. Ojjukira China we yatandikira industrialization. Chairman Mao. Yajja n'akyala mu America. N'alaba engeri gye baali batambuzaamu ebintu byabwe. N'akwatira ddala blueprint ya America. N'agitwala China. Okitegeera. n'atandika okukola ensi ye nga almost alinga agemulatinga efaanana America. So bwe yatuuka we yali ayagala n'atandika okukola ki okubeefuulira. Okitegeera? So kati naffe tulina okufuna mentality eyaffe nti bwe tuba tulina kye twagala okutuukako, we can first of all draw a plan nga bwe mubadde mugamba. Naye plan eyo muyina okuteekamu abantu be mumanyi oba be mwesiga be muyina mu diaspora, oba gavumenti zino empya let's say ez'abantu nga bamalema bwe ziba zizze ziweereze abantu eno okusoma, nga bajja kusoma ensi zino zikola zitya ebintu byazo nga bwe baddayo, kubanga ebyo byonna bisoboka. Ffe okujja ne tusoma ate ne twagala osigala wano katego k'abano Abamerika kujjamu bantu bayivu mu nsi zaffe eri wasigaleyo abantu abatalina nnyo kye bagenda kuyamba nsi. So abantu bwe babanga bajja eno okusoma babeere nga bakiina mu bo nti at one point they have to go back and serve. Okitegeera? Kuba amalema ne bw'anaafuuka president, okitegeera, nga ye tayina another group of people around him abagenda omuyambako okudrawinga policies ezigenda okukyusa ensi, tuba tugenda kwetoolera awantu wamu kubanga ensi zikyuse. Tuvudde mu nfuga eri ey'edda, kati enfuga egenda ekyuka, ate ekyuka ku speed. Endowooza z'abantu zikyukira ku speed. So buli we tunaabeera nga tuweereza abantu, kuba at the end of the day osobola okudrawinga plan eyiyo, naye erina okubaako weerabira oba enaakola, oba part of it erina okuba nga erina we yakola okumanya oba enaakola. Okitegeera? So bwe tuba nga tunaabeera nabana n'emijijjo emipya egijja egy'abakulembeze kwajja emikadde oba egiriwo kati tegikyalina kye gigenda kukyusa, balina bo kye balowooza kye bagenderako, ate tekigenda kutuyamba, tekigenda tutwala mu maaso. Batufudde stagnant, tuli awo tetuyina we tudda. Era olaba ensi mu Africa zonna ezikyusizza abakulembeze, ezifuna abakulembeze abavubuka, speed kwe zitambulira ya waggulu nnyo. Okitegeera? Kubanga bakitegedde nti bwe tukoppa blueprint y'abano abazungu bennyini, omanyi bo tebaagala ffe tukozese bo bye bakozesa ebibakolera. Okiraba? So bwe tubitunuulira ne tu incorporatingamu ebyaffe bye twagala okukola, kubanga babeera tebamanyi ffe bye twagala kukola. Okitegeera? So bwe tukwata ebyabwe ne tuteekamu n'ebyaffe, tujja kubaako ne we tugenda. That's for the start. That's for the start.
Ekintu gyo ky'ogambye ekyokugamba nti no Chairman Mao yajja wano n'afuna blueprint eno n'amanya nno ngenda sooka bano mbalage nti everything is fine. Naye the end goal is to be different. Okitegeera? It reminded me when I was doing classes about feminism, where some feminist leaders were arguing that a woman alone cannot change by alienating men. Okitegeera? Wadde bobo yagala okujjako pawe gy'ofiiringa nti babadde baagikutwalako, weetaaga some of the men to support your cause to get it. Bano abantu batukola bubi all those years, 137 years ago, tukimanyi, but we need them to a certain degree to be successful. So plan sijimanyi, I cannot claim that I know the plan. Umar has said multiple times it's already in motion.
Plan area.
My thinking is we are all being idealistic. We are not real. I'm
actually being real personally, not even idealistic.
About this in previous episodes of Bantu Podcast, we are just being realistic. Like we are being, idealistic. We are not being realistic because forces is really working. Ze making us sure. I mean, to so beating, of course.
Julius.
Na yes, money, and it will take us time.
Change agalo tegere. Omusajja bamuyitanga Kwame Nkrumah. Yagamba, freedom is not something that one group of people bestows upon another as a gift. It's already yours. You have to take it and claim it as your own. So plan, when climate plan where it's already been set in motion. And at a certain time, X, like a flip of a switch, ninga ali mu movie. Ninga ali mu movie. Abantu bajaga ndi mu movie. But the thing is, okugezaako kukola plan nga tugamba Mao yajja n'akopa eno that is not going to, personally, in my opinion. Kiyinza otuteeka somewhere, but I can give you 7 people who have tried that plan and they have all been assassinated in Africa. Bonna. Immediately. Bonna. So people keep reading. People know things. People abantu bamanye ebintu nagamba kati kati olwabe ekya Mao ozaffe tusoso kirowoozaako. Many have tried, but when you read the literature, Nkrumah Bebaleka, Lumumba, people who, all you have to do is read and share. Knowledge started here in Africa. According to the Greeks, this is what they said. Sinti, I'm just thinking about it. In their written text, they tell you everything we know, everything we have, we got from Egypt.
Sina Egypt yoka.
Kati basajja ngaba Pythagoras. Pythagoras had to live in Egypt for 15 years. And for the first 5 years, just okumwa. Kati olaba Pythagoras yaleta your formula, the theory, his theory, which actually na yajibabubi, of course, ngawe mbagambia inasoka genda kubera mu Egypt. But they spent 5 years ngatabena kye bamulaga because to them knowledge was sacred. Knowledge is power. So bagendo Jimwa, they have gained a little bit of his trust and they know he can now use it without misusing that knowledge. Which so
can you beat somebody at the game they are playing tosobodde kubeerayo oba kubeera waali kutegeera kikyakola?
Tosobola ate osobola. But here is to answer your question. Tuli buli wamu. Everywhere. Africa is the only continent. Fabaduga, we're the only people from Africa who are everywhere in the world. Teori muntu mulala ali everywhere in the world. No one.
I think that
Bona agenda Belgium ojasangayo omusajja omukongo nga yafumbirwa omukazi wa Sierra Leone. Any part of the world you'll go to, you'll find an African, and in great places.
The Chinese
are not Chinese wali omulabeko mu Uganda. Mukyalo kyo nyini. Okugamba bana abagenza okola okusima biki musenyu biki ebyo. But living there.
Kati
can you compare that number to bana Uganda babere China?
Proportion. Abaddugavu bokka mu Belgium si beebo bokka ab'e Congo. Njagala kutereezaamu.
And just an example,
statement yo ntuufu nti every corner of the world mulimu abaddugavu. Because abaddugavu were in these places before everyone. Era ekyo kye njagala kutereezaamu gwegenda in every gwe bugenda wolowooza nti waliwo bazungu. Ombuulire tojja kusangawo ba aborigines nga baddugavu. Njagala otunule in every corner of this world. Ongambeyo any corner gy'otasangemu baddugavu. Nga bakugamba abo ba aborigines. abamu bakozesa ekyo ekigambo abalala bajja kugamba babajja buzzi
nze ndowooza
asirise nnyo mbadde nyawira ku Stella kyatugamba tuyinza oza yagenze naye waali
kamalize katono nnyo kano tudde mu America muno tutunuulira abantu Columbus Stella kyabadde atugamba Columbus abantu be yali atta mass genocide gye yakola yali agikola ku baddugavu bajja kubayita Red Indians bajja kubayita baani these people were here bakulimbe mbusimanyi baali bazze ku tradinga these people were here baali baddugavu so awo kyembadde njagala okutereezaamu nti mu Europe eriyo abaddugavu nga bantu baayo Saudi Arabia awo be muyita simanyi abasudaani tebaali basudaani be bannannyini ttaka ya Saudi Arabia awo be mulaba abasudaani abawanvu mu China they've killed Rohingya people they are black people mu Japan they killed off all the black people naye nga gye bali abaddugavu n'amannya babayita mannya ge batuuma mu Uganda okiwulira
anti Budi yabagamba ani Fahad Luli yabagamba how that came about
Fahad yatugamba naye shafi kyembadde njagala okutegeeza nti that in itself is a strength teri muntu mulala kina omuchina gwe mbadde mugamba teri mu China ina bantu over 10,000 mu nsi nga Uganda Congo Burundi Tanzania biki but aba bonna bogambye shafi where they are they really at the top of the food chain oba bali wansi don't you think nabo bandi agadde okubeera nga bavimba nga banyumirwa so when this plan gets in when people get educated bulungi ne tutegeera nti bannange now Julius system eno it can just be anything sigenda gamba nti no it's wait it is definitive already but imagine I always refer to the Arab Spring who knew that just go on Facebook and do this but those people had to be prepared for that time that when it happens do we have the numbers do we have the people do we have everything which together just didn't happen overnight people already prepared people the mindset yali ekyuse so kanafe whichever tool we are going to use are we mentally prepared are we ready are you ready nenga nabagambye it's already happening no one can stop
can
it
you be prepared for the unknown
so there's a few ways that you can prepare. First, you have to think about the things that human beings need 100%, where without them, they would be problems. Because those are the weapons that are going to be used against us. So, Kasi, she's saying that, we have to be in charge of our own food. That's the biggest thing. As Africans, we have to know where our food comes from, and we have to, in the smallest, most disorganized, decentralized situation, we have to be in charge of our food. Tuberenga today ku self-sustainance berenga buli omu alina akataka alina akawati nga yeerimira exchanging ne neighbor we atwala wali agulira mu katale ebyokugenda mu Shoprite nakuma it's okay if you're buying ebintu ebiri eyongo at the wali gweyogerere ku trading center batundawo ennyanya ate gwe n'ovuga emmotoka yogenda paka nakuma because you're trying to live this life where you're driving. I'm driving to the supermarket. So today paka ebintu ebyali backward bye tubeera tukola bali be bakola
that's where we began from
yeah
tugambye plan tugenda gikola backwards we begin from the basics nti Julius right now you're there but you can sell to someone in Benin or Angola anything you're selling nga toyise mu Amazon nga toyise mu kinga toyise mu ki Amazon ebe ekyali waawo sebo
manure
it's going to take time but we need people to get on board as soon as possible and for all fields technology IT medicine food the biggest one
yeah shipping n'okubira gaayo yakola printing the graphics n'okubira gaayo oli yakola ki bantu b'omanyi in your own circle bw'okozesa. So kati you have your 2 goats, they make you goat milk, you know someone who knows someone who can turn it into seeds oba biki ne musenyigira abantu abali eno, like the immigrants that are here, even the white people are oh my god, I'm getting Ugandan goat cheese. Do you know they can pay $20 for that? But now you just have 2 goats.
But that is
Now
just
2
a
goats,
small example of the bigger picture.
But we
Bingi
have to
nnyo. When you sit down, Julius, n'engamba olowoozeeko ebintu, you can come up with 1,000 ideas.
And it can't be from leadership. It has to be us, the individuals, ourselves. We have to be the ones.
From
me
leadership?
with my 1 goat, me with my mushrooms. How many mushrooms, how they grow? You just get like a dark space, you grow mushrooms. Mbiteke ku website. That same shipping thing is that the Indian it's the one that I should use to sell my mushrooms to Brazil, to sell my mushrooms to the Philippines, to where? So that we can do these things. The other thing that we can do immediately is our trash, all those landfills. Plastic, obudeya, obuvera, what, all those things that the plastics that I use, I don't know.
Keep going, yeah? Or breaking them out to pull it out.
I think
So
that having connection.
the thing we are saying is bw'ogiteekako leadership n'ogiwa face, like I told you 7 times all these faces have been assassinated.
Chenkugamba Omar, that the angle we're coming from, we're all arriving at the same point. We need change. Africa has to change. But Oliver, let me give you an example of a train of thought that many people have fostered it, that is going to bring about World War III. When the superpower in the world, which is the United States now, sees that it's declining and another power is coming, or powers are coming to take that position, one way they maintain that, they cause a big war. Now just substitute America with a white man. Their way of life is being threatened. They are going to do something about it. Chairman Mao Cheakola, Tiabalaganti, when China rises, it's going to be a threat to you. I think that is what Shafi and I are trying to say. Omweta gomuzungu. Toso kamu threatening before you achieve a standing as a stepping stone. No manyantu wanu wensinzirawo zosobola okuteking our own Europe. Right now we can't take anyone. Ne Asia tetugisobola. Now omuzungu ye, because aina amaddu bw'omuguza backyard n'omugamba mulimu ekintu ajja kugamba kale ngenda kukola ki, ngenda kugula ebintu byonna ebisigadde byolina so long as wali nze asimawo. Okitegeera, we need tulina basitookinga mpola mpola, tebalaba threat yaffe nti ejja naye ng'ejja. Okitegeera, the same thing Hamas kyeyakola, Israel ejja n'ebombenga neddayo. You know bakimanyi, Gaza is in our control, there is no threat coming from there. Then all of a sudden, poof, October 7th. Okitegeera, tulina Mossad, we have the best intelligence in the world, bichi, yet these guys are doing something. Boba City say, bajja ne babakwata ne batwala bomu ne zigwa. Then one day they rise up. So power onaliko omuzungu yatukola bibi nnyo, fena tubimanyi. No one is saying tiyetaaga kuvaawo oba tetwetaaga muyitako, but where we stand currently in society, neboga nti no ogatandika kutunda goat cheese. There is no company in Africa that is shipping directly to the United States, for example.
See, that's a good thing in itself.
It's a subsidiary of another company that is actually American. Which
so
these media zetwagala okuyitamu ogenda okwesanga ng'omuzungu kwali ku top. Oyinza okukwata omulaba bulijjo, olaba let's say Jumai n'ogamba Jumi, simanyi Jumi oba Jumai, ebyo ye Uganda eringa Amazon. Sama oyinza okwesanga nga at the top waliyo omuzungu aliko neera.
Ekyo nakyo si kizibu. Ekyo si kizibu, but Julius
siye tumale tujje lumu tugambe ba olaba ne Arab Spring to succeed.
we are not really threatening anyone. Negwe choino omanya, everything comes to an end.
Until the rise of a black man is going to threaten our
So
it's implied.
When Roman Empire was falling, it didn't matter. It didn't matter how strong they were, because at one time they ruled the entire world.
That is
but
true.
when it was coming down, there's no way we are going to conquer the Roman. How would you conquer the Roman Empire? So this collapse or decline, it's not a threat. It's the truth. It's happening. It's already in motion. So whenever the biggest asset we have, we're the only people. You know what? Nanyini Zoom. Tagena kuda mukoroba, Zoom ajabolishenze. We don't have people who can create Zoom in like 2 seconds. Ngabaduga.
Until how?
We have all the expertise and knowledge. Everything. We have all the tools.
Tuchirina na internet again okusupporting okozesa Zoom na yo muzungu ya jirani.
Si ya muzungu. Julius, linda ko Joe kambane banya Stella so kama ize point jabadda kola ulinga tanavako.
Yes, Stella, please.
Yeah, my phone black. Anyway, I've been but then the one they cut down. Point zibadde z'amaanyi ddala nga bingi nnyo byenjagala contributing to the conversation. Kati wenviiriddeko mbadde njogera ku actionable step ey'okubiri gye tusobola otwala. All these landmines eziri awo eziri filled with plastic. So zirinamu plastic bags, obuveera, ebidomola, ebiwatwatwa. All those are made from oil. The calculation that makes the oil is not that complicated. Waliwo omwana ku TikTok take like 2 machines zosobola okugenda wali kiteeka market and you get them and you reverse that process. So from every chidomola that people have thrown you can just put it in the thing, crashinga, burninga, chemical equation, and it becomes oil again, diesel. And it has been running that boys lawnmowers, what. How many landfills do we have right now? That immediately cuts off like so many people's expense. So that's the second actionable step. That's when I wrote it down. The other thing is that today, the age that we are in is the age where everything is going to come to light. Buli chimu chigenda coming to light, and people who have spent the last 500 years in darkness, committing all these acts of terror, killing people, raping people, pillaging, doing what? They are going to be so inundated with explaining themselves that they're not going to have time. Israel again in the world court every day, sending lawyers, sending delegates, sending what. That's what they're going to be doing. This whole country, the entire year, they're going to spend all year talking about Biden versus Trump because they have elections. They're already running a war in Ukraine. They're a proxy war in Ukraine. They're running a proxy war in Israel. They don't have time for us to be a threat to them. Like they and this is what happened when colonialism was falling. This is the chaos. In chaos is where the Pan-Africanists went to find like the flowers to make them bloom. So bwe bali ku League of Nations nga bali bagezaako organizing ebintu ebyali bifudde from the war, from the what. Africans were writing and spreading Pan-Africanism. Marcus Garvey, omusajja bannange, he started a magazine, and I was telling Umaru this. He had never been to Africa, but he went and he wrote, and he met the soldiers who were going to fight. N'abateeka munda mu gundi, n'ateekamu the letters that he wrote to Africa, ne babitungira omwo, and he dispatched them, and when they got off in Mombasa, they went and told the kids there. 12-year-old boys, ne babasomesa oluzungu, ne babasomesa okusoma letters za Marcus Garvey, and they went into the villages and they spread the word. They were like, guys, the people that they stole from Africa, we still live, we still exist. We are on the other side of the continent, guys. We want to join with you guys. We want to fight this thing. We've had you also being colonized. We are here. We are fighting our struggle. This is what's happening with us. And the Africans wrote back. Never take Mugundi. They sent it and was like, even us, this is what we are facing. And just like that, in that Manyanga is how they organized to form the Organization of African Union. In 1945, when Abazungu they're coming out of World War, that they were sitting on their table, that they were creating Israel. Even Kwame Nkrumah was in the UK. Even him, he had his goons on the table. Malcolm X was there. Martin Luther King was there for that thing. It all, the things that they were able to do with so little gives me so much inspiration to the things that we're able to do. Now we are wealthy in terms of spreading knowledge. We are wealthy in terms of what we're able to do. We don't have money like they did. They were abantu balinga bagula shares in Marcus Garvey's magazine. They would buy shares. They would all advertise in the same magazine. They would all do their businesses in the same magazine. They would use the same plumbers. They would use the same what. They would every village all the way all throughout the US. Black people themselves were the ones who were going in every single town and starting chapters of the UNAA, the United Negro Association, something for Marcus Garvey. They were the ones who were spreading the things that we're talking about, person to person, sharing. Bulistand never again, never having their misa. Then when they are done, they talk about Marcus Garvey and what he has told them about Africa and what the news that is coming out of Africa is doing. To all of that organizing in the UK is what culminated into Namdi Azikiwe okubeereyo, Owolowo okubeereyo, Nyerere, people who are all over the continent because they knew that the only way that we're going to get this thing is together. Everyone wali atandika mpola gwe notandika with just selling your milk from your one goat, olina atandika from selling obutiti nga abutunda ku HC African shoes nga atunda ku biki, olina atandika nga ye omulimu gwe alina boda ye avuga around all day in Avema picking up all the packages that bazambi notwala ku DHL and then DHL ships over here. N'atandika ng'oli ali ku nasi nga alina essimu ye alina WhatsApp number nga baclients be bamukubira n'agenda n'abakeberako ng'olina sukaali, did you check your sugar today? N'abeera concierge nurse nga they go to people's homes and they check on them. Ono gundi n'atandika bw'atyo. Everyone has a role to play.
Everyone has a role.
Yeah, everyone where we are. If you are in Guinea-Bissau, but you actually born in Lagos, Wadukavichi, then you in Lagos, you find a Burundian girl and you get married. That kind of connection where you can find in people's families, they have everyone from everywhere. That's how we're going to build this thing. And these people, this is the chaos. These people are so disorganized right now. They are so disorganized. They can't even come up with a viable election candidate. Magamba, it's between the person who's grabbing people by the what and then the person who's supporting genocide, who's selling or taking all our taxes. So they can't even come up with a person that can be like, okay, we are behind. And this is happening everywhere. In the UK, they were so scared of being called racist. They made that Indian man, who's the most racist man, go up and roll them. In where? Macron, he's a man who has been groomed by his older wife who used to be his Kwegamba. The chaos that's happening right now, by the time they turn around to be like, what's Asiimwe with her one goat doing? Like there's too many of us. And the thing is, the genetic diversity of human nature stems from us. So between me and Umar, there is more genetic diversity than between a white person ali in Nebraska and a white person ali in Berlin. Like by the time people migrated, by the time it reached seasons, the diversity had eroded from all the people who had died on the way in their wards, in the what. So, and we have the youngest population on the planet. And in any case, if this plan that Umar is talking about, if it doesn't work, bali bagenda kufa. So our average age is that. The average age is 60. In German, they are importing Kenyans to come and work for them because the people are so old. So know what you were like 5 years. Bagenda abasinga bagenda ku disorganizing themselves in this political mess that they've made. Then they are going to keep importing Kenyans to work for them. And if we keep just spreading the word, the Kenyans who are going to be there are not going to be the same immigrants that we have here. Those are going to be Kenyans who know themselves, who think of themselves first, who are learning things and sending things back home and doing what, and saying, even if I'm in Berlin, I'm still going to live as a Kenyan. So send me my ugali, send me my what. Little by little, they're going to establish their own trading industries. Instead of using DHL, go trading industry, or Julius, whatever. So it just takes little by little. And the thing that Umar was talking about with Nkrumah and all the fathers of Pan-Africanism is everyone, when you listen to everyone who talks about Nkrumah Agamba, that's the man who saw tomorrow. He gave us everything, how to do it. Yabagamba, when they went buying 2 blocks, they had the Monrovia group, which was Ngabali, different schools of thought on how to gain independence. Some of them were like, we don't have the expertise, let's go slowly by slowly. We first go, we educate our people, we get surgeons, we get administrators, we get what, until we get to a point where we can rule ourselves instead of chasing away the colonialists one just quickly. And the Nkrumah's group was like, no, we have to get everything now. They were in Morocco, in Casablanca, and they were sitting, and he was telling them, guys, if you live here without deciding that this continent is one country, in like 50 years, they're going to still have a stronghold on us. Like, let's go and vote today. Instead of having 54 embassies in every single country in the world, we have 1 embassy. Immediately, how many rich people who are doing nothing? You've removed them from the
mass unemployment overnight.
Completely. People's rich fathers who have never done anything for designers who just live in Belgium because they are the ambassador. Well, your guy's salary, immediately, let him go take care of himself. We don't know him. So 54 armies that we have when we could just have an organized thing that just decentralized all the way down. 54 what? All these buildings in all these countries that we rent, the rent for the embassies, the rent that we what. So he was telling us if we just had one, because how are you sending Burundi to go on the bargaining table with China when you could just have all our 54 goons sit there and say no? In Burundi, you're not going to do them like that. You're not going to just build them one road and they give you a whole forest. But because Burundi is sitting there by themselves, they are whimpering, they are injured, they have been pillaged. But yeah, what they are just saying, Bambi, don't like kill us, don't what they are in already the demeanor is from a begging position. But if we are all together in a decentralized way where we don't have one leader that they can go and kill. Kubanga, every time we do that, tufunako Lumumba bamuta after 9 months. Tufunako Oli bamuta after what, and then they put random insane men like Mobutu in power. And then they say, oh my God, look at Africa, they are incapable.
Yeah, so that is a thing. The other thing is abantu betulina who are like we call them redundant. Bagamba buli omwana graduate is ali swaswa. Yeah, they just go, they study. So everyone is social sciences, and we act like this is a useless course. Whereas here, Abanta, the therapists people talk to, the top therapists, study social work. That's their degree, bachelor's. They're licensed social workers, and then they go and they do therapy. That's how they have so many of them. But we already have that resource today. In Uganda, there is like at least 1 million people whose bachelor's is in social work. But then they say, oh my God, the per capita rate, the therapist per capita is so low. There's only 1 therapist per 2 million people. It's like...
and they are the ones who give you the numbers. Kati mu Uganda mwina webati. But have you really sat down Nogamba, but really?
What is it that we have?
IMF is telling me my GDP is $200 million. Naidala chituufu. They come up with these ridiculous numbers. The numbers of and everything we are going backwards from the. At one point, Buganda had a very strong army. Nenge tandikira wansi. Wutukira kweli wagulu kabakazgad nga olaba SFC kati. Olaba presidential which is Bajita Bachawan. The guy, the ring, a country, around the Secret Service. eno wansi waliyo zino zi Massachusetts National Guard waliyo biki ogenda okutuuka ku battalion mpola mpu waggulu all the way up, and that has worked before 2,000 to 3,000 years before they ever stepped foot in Africa. It was already working. Chovola aba Greek bagamba benyini in their text, everything we know and everything we have we got from Egypt.
All about Hippocrates, the father of medicine.
Yeah.
He came like 1,000 years after Imhotep, who was the actual father of medicine. Everything that Hippocrates, that they say he did, Imhotep was already doing.
He was Ethiopian.
The stories of Moses had already been told 1,000 years before. The story of the person who was going into the mountain and then coming back with tablets with the laws written on them, the person who helped God's people flee. That story has already been told before. The story of Jesus had already been told before. It's not that the essence of Jesus is not real, but the story itself of the person who was born of a virgin, died and rose again, and was called the Prince of Peace has been told before. But the books that they are now ruling us with, the Torah, what Bible, at their understanding, chiringo obuntu wengenda nensoma ekitabo kino ekitabo nempandika summary yange, or wempandika summary nenjireeta nembagamba this is my understanding of it, and then I just become popular and people just read, read Stella's version of the Bible, read what version of the what. So they just went and they rearranged the story and they said this is how we understand it, and they made it a tool that they can use to go and oppress, to take and to keep people. And when people fight back, they tell them, the Bible says respect your masters. The Bible says when someone turns you the one cheek, do the other cheek. Where be you? Naye there's nothing new that they're bringing us that we can't take for ourselves.
The blueprint is already there.
Yeah.
First we get educated, first we sensitize, then step to Jakuja.
Yeah.
It's in steps, again I'm steps.
Then
everything, Julius, trust me, everything is there. It sounds idealistic, it sounds like a movie, but the plan is there.
I tell you, this is the time, the chaos that we have is not going to last forever. And right now, the chaos is in such a way that we are motivated. Oh my God, I have work to do. I have to do what? I have to do what?
And there are so many people on it.
When the chaos becomes unbearable, when it becomes untenable, then it will be debilitating. You're running, you're what. Now, like the Palestinians are at that point. And history is cyclical. So you get to a point where the chaos is at an optimum level where you can use it to make something for yourself. But if you let it go unchecked, then it gets to a point where they're bombing you. It's winter, you're sleeping in tents. Abana 5 years old in the mines. That is where the chaos becomes untenable. But this part where we are, this is the chaos that can produce so many things. They don't even, and they're watching us to see what it is that we do, to see if they can remix it, to see if they can what. No, it's not going to work. Julius, what do you get at HR or later computers in the taxing and what? That's also because we don't know what it is that we have. So but Gamba, we have to run the country, we need taxes, we need what, but we don't know what's actually on books. Kubanga GDP is run, like the person who produces the GDP for every country is the IMF. And that GDP doesn't consider cost of living. So every time, like if there's a supply chain mismanagement, like if there is no fuel, but the demand is still high for fuel and the prices of fuel go up because of the natural laws of economics, and the shilling, the IMF says the shilling has lost value, which is not true. The cost of fuel is just high because the demand is high, but the supply is low. But the IMF punishes us when economics does its thing. So they punish us and they reduce our value on the international market, the value of the shilling. But they don't do that for the US dollar. So if there is a supply chain problem where the fuel is low and the demand is high and the price of fuel increases, the dollar doesn't lose value, the dollar remains steady. Because they decide, they're the ones who are talking for us, they decide the dollar is meant to be steady. But they don't extend this to anyone else. And then,
but all that is done.
Yeah.
So Gundi ever testing a Bitcoin. Those are some signs. There will be signs, like the famous saying. There will be signs.
And but
So-
to punish us, like when Ghana and Ivory Coast, they decided to just make the entire product of chocolate in-house instead of exporting their cocoa. So when they did that, all these Western countries were like, "Guy, how are you removing us out of this game plan? Like, what do you expect us to do? How are we going to make Swiss chocolate? There is no way. You're not allowed to do that." And then Ghana was like, "Bro, this is our own cocoa. We are going to make it into chocolate. What do you mean?" They woke up the next day, the IMF had slashed the value of the Ghanaian cedi. They had been like, "Oh, your economic policies are not sustainable. They're not reliable. So instead of letting your currency crash unguided and causing drama in the world markets, we're going to preemptively cut its value." Imagine. And they did that to a national currency of a country. So when they say GDP, it doesn't have any, it's again a redundant term that doesn't have any practical application on ground. Bagamenti, when they say GDP of the country, that actually means, like, it means real life. Whatever that we are thinking is reality is just a stand-in for what the mighty have decided to grant us. So when we say stand up, we say refuse the reality they've reserved. Refuse it. Ogambe your imagination is sikyagirimu. Okugamba nti
Jump out.
I'm out. When you say GDP, it doesn't mean anything to me because it's not a real thing. The rules are the game. The rules just change for you than for me. So Kati, if you also the fuel is too expensive, slash the dollar. Let's keep it balanced. And then obviously
Joe, you have a I don't know how you got them.
Yeah.
Joey. For mutinze.
Nabadde njagala kwongereza ku kya Julius kyeyabadde agamba nti sometimes bwe mubuusa amaaso ebintu ebimu tekibeera kirungi lwa nsonga ensi zizze zikula. Let's go back mu myaka gyedda oba mu Ottoman Empire. Kati mulaba the great Shaka Zulu. He became great because yayigira ku ba predecessors be. Okiraba yakwata shortcomings z'abali ye n'afuna engeri gy'akola ki gy'aziterezaamu to better himself and his kingdom. Kati ne Chairman Mao kyeyakola bwe yajja wano mu America, bwe yajja teyabalaga kikyagenda kukola, yabalaga kikyayagala okukola mu nsi ye at that time, but plan ye yonna baali tebagimanyi. So nze kyenabadde njagala okwongereza ku kya Julius nti bw'oba oyingira mu kintu, secrecy should be the first thing you keep. Okiraba nti bw'oba let's say njagala kulaakulana, kati nze example ngenda ziwera ku bavubuka abakulembeze abajja. Let's give an example. Umaro ogambye nti abakulembeze abakoppa ab'omu Africa abakoppa gundi za Chairman Mao bonna babeera assassinated. Babeera assassinated because from the word go balagirawo nti policies ze baleeta zigenda kuvuganya oba kujjawo America oba any superpower that was yonna yali ebatawaanya. So baali balina okubajjawo kubanga already balaga ki kye bagenda okubeera nga bafunye amaanyi. Okitegeera? So singa oba nti bwe tuba tujja twekwekereza, mu kwekwekereza obviously tujja ne plan eyaffe. Kati bwe tukoppa ne tugattirako ffe kye tulina, kuba babeera tebamanyi kye tulina. Okiraba? Kati bw'olaba Malema already alagirawo nti let's say bw'aba afuuse omukulembeze ajja kukolera ddala Abamerika kye batayagala, nti ajja kukwata ebintu abijje let's say abazungu abasinga okuninga ettaka mu South Africa akikyuse oba kibeere 50% oba 40% kubanga ettaka lyali ly'Abafirika from the start okiraba. So singa tubanga tuminimizinga engeri abazungu bano gye basobola okutufunamu information, ekyo nakyo kiyinza okutuyamba. At the end of the day buli lwe tubeera ne plan ezo Stella zagamba, if the open nga buli muzungu aziraba nti weziri kino kye tugenda okukola, obviously they will take out the heads aba spearheading a plan ezo okiraba. Ate ng'ebiseera ebisinga tetulina banamba bbiri bagenda kukola ki.
That's the problem. That's the
but
problem.
now the unique thing about it is it's important. They declare their intentions and then they are wiped out because they are threatening the status quo. But now, how do you overcome that? Lumumba yaina plan ye najigamba abantu ne bagano gitegeera. Nkrumah, it was Nkrumah. Number, it's either now or never. Nenga tebagitegeera. So now what do you do to counter that? You make sure these people understand, first of all. It's the number one thing. Study Agambe, Age of Aquarius. Everything is coming to light. Everything achieved them with darkness. Without you knowing, you're all going to agree with me. Now you're going to start saying this in the past 2 years. News headlines are crazy. I think there's never been a time in life where news headlines. Because never could Epstein, never could like. So the thing is, make people understand your plan. Did that. Nkrumah Yagamba. Now this is beneficial for us because this and this and that. So if those other 50 heads of state let's not rush for the breadcrumbs. Out of this unity, there is going to be a lot, a full loaf or 2 loaves. So now that is what we are doing, making sure people understand we are not born to suffer. We've been suffering for so long. You're just looking at your neighbors and cousins and siblings. No Jamu America, we are still doing low jobs. No, we die, we go back in body bags. That has to stop. That is going to stop. That is already stopping. But it's important for people to know. Not what the dictator or what the storyteller tells you, because the storyteller we are inferior people. Even when something is hurting us, because for us we are we're suffering all the time. So now it's important for people to know there is abundance for you. Now also you at which gendo kola also bajaja febainetaka nga bagaga nyonyo 10 times than what we are today. Nenga tebalina nnyo kyamaanyi kye bakola. Well, they used to go and work, but they knew they had that spirit of Ubuntu. That is what we are bringing back first. And open the mindset. And what a way, what a time we are in right now.
I know.
We have social media. We have everything we need. Conferences. They go to university students. Osoko osale makerere ekukirize atoje kati bwa missing a flight eyongatachaze, you have to wait for him for another 7 months. No information tuli mu kwogera kati, if we share it amongst ourselves, just 5 people here today, nitugamba just share with 10 people, those are the 10 people are also going to share with. People need to understand sense of belonging, sense of you have a purpose. You're not just there. I keep telling Stella, nothing is by coincidence, Monsi. Nothing. So this plan is what it detailed, but that's the very essence of Chagambi. It just not that's what Kumaraga variable V. Then what? Then
Joe, the more decentralized, the better.
It's important for us to understand everybody has a role. didn't know kati ono ye mastermind wa plan. Things will just happen to fall in place. Byoka. Overnight TikTok ojirabeze ejeo social media zona. If US negeza ko sanctioning, but it is too strong. Tebagisobola. So that is how it begins. I know it's kind of looking vague, but
where we're heading, we've now started defining the plan.
You're starting to hear things.
To remove to the stage sensitization.
Yes.
Let us let all of us be welcoming to this information that is moving around us.
And Julius, the most important thing is for people to know. You are a student of history. People know the Bantwaino Manya, the great people, what they used to preach. But Makasgavi, what were they saying? Omuntu mugambe nti Patrice Lumumba, US President Eisenhower yagamba, that guy has to be killed. It's on record. So if they instill that in you as an African, but why? How can someone direct for the president of another country to be killed, prime minister? And nothing. No one even reacts because they didn't have any tools that we have right now. Why do you think at Bahamas baba de bazibu? Because there is a big appetite going on down there. But until maybe this year, people didn't know, or last year. South Africa. It's happening in there. But those people are like our blueprint. If you not fighting for us, okay, for us our time is done. They're going to wipe us out. But then what happens when we are done? Who do you think they're coming for? I can give you 3 examples where in Africa, but that's a podcast for another day.
They're missing in Sudan, they're missing in Congo. They're the ones who are
so
yeah, and they're in Western Cape right now. They're trying to run a referendum to secede from South Africa. Western Cape bajikole ensi y'abazungu
yayo.
That it's running right now. They're having their elections this year, South Africa, and that political party wants that to be on the ballot.
And it's just there. Nobody is even saying.
No one is saying anything.
This is our Keblam. Temutumanyira. This is a great continent. This is going to be very controversial. I know, because they are listening everywhere. But do know. We have to do it. And, whether you die or you don't, death is not the end. That is, the important thing to know. Just the beginning of something else.
Leadership. We should never get ourselves in that vulnerable position again where Tetuina number 2. Like what I know, everyone should know. What Julius knows, everyone should know. What Joel knows, everyone should know. Even if I died today, everyone should. Nga Bobi Wine we agamba. Byonna already webiri. Tewali kyakogera kisigadde yatugambye buli kimu kye twagala. So even if, like now, Mandela is dead, but Mandela, his voice has haunted Israel. He has haunted Israel from when he was in prison. He was talking, he was like, our freedom is not complete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And do you know how that one sentence has carried? It has carried South Africa all the way into the World Court. And because of what South Africa has done in the World Court, now Indonesia is taking them to the World Court. Now Mexico is taking them to the World Court. Chile. Nelson Mandela omuntu omu bw'ati.
Yes.
Katolo tuli batano. You should make sure it's just like, even if you die, they'll be like, oh, Bananga, I wonder what Joel would want. They'll be like, we already know.
Exactly.
So we should be as decentralized.
It's spreading like wildfire. It's no longer idealistic.
No. Again,
it's in motion. It's already in play.
We agree on the end point. But now you've started elaborating the plan. Plan it in motion.
That now was important for people to understand that there is a plan, because having that faith also is good for people not there is a plan.
Again,
We're not just going to formulate it, but there is honestly,
It's already
there is a
there.
plan.
plan JD, of course.
We are now going to be breaking it down.
Let's
Podcast endala, once people know, okay, we can be this wealthy. But how can we do it? Someone else will tell you, okay, to achieve this,
Tanti naye kati
Kitegeera.
tukkiriziganya tuli ku information stage.
Information age.
Elaborating the plan. I think
And that is the most important stage
exactly
of the plan.
Nobody that tugamba plan where plan in motion.
Ate
Plan
tugenda genda
Nangwe-
kuba
nangwe
bantu
you're
masasi
impatient.
kuchitegeera.
It's not like 1, 2, 3 get put on your boots genda kwata mu.
So planning it takes longer, but katuli ku stage ya information sharing.
Plan is
Get that information, collect more information and share with everyone. Let us perceive it as a plan calling us to act against this oppression we've lived under.
just appreciate who you are. It's the number one thing, first of all.
At least I can say, whoever bali tetubamanyi buli muddu gava ayagala okuvaayo. Tulivinze under oppression for all this time, and our ancestors lived under the same thing. So twagala kuvaayo, naye tuvaayo tutya. And do we need partners or no? Any partner because we need partners. We are not strong enough to go, full-headed without any backing of anyone. Either to kuteba warabu, atawarabu balinga batu government. They should be part of us. Over to Funeva China, because China is seeking domination on the world stage. So netugamba well tugenda kubakinga kolinya nafe tujja nawe. Netutukayo netumwefulira nafe netwala stage. You need someone strong enough to back you on a movement that is going to be so fundamental. Batwa ulada. Okitegeera. Nkuruma yali agamba to one state. Olave ekyaberawo. So you plan in a feed out. Tuli so many states now, which means for ngaba na Uganda tuyinza osalawo leero nti eyo tetugamba kudda mugiri nyamu nga tekoze kino ekintu. Naba na Kenya ne bagamba afe twagala esigale nga bweri. Okitegeera. We already divided.
That means to skip in the stage of information. For as long as people understand that, get the knowledge, the information. Tell you Ghana. Tell you Munakanya in Ghana. Tell you from anyone from Burundi, Somalia, where the important to understand. Well, how is it beneficial to you? Because think about it. In Congo, in Congo, I think 80% of the world's minerals in the world half. But if I told you go mu Congo, mu Congo, wherever you are, but you know what? You can benefit from this. Why are they saying how much is the dollar value? So Congo net dollar value. Center maker. In actual sense, Congo should have the bigger value because by minerals. So what $1 we're not collecting Congo money in those anga how many? Hundreds? Ziri maker.
The Congolese franc. Let's see.
Congolese franc. So $1 is equal to how many Congolese francs? It should be the other way around.
It does, but it doesn't seem like it's that. I don't know how. 500
francs give you $1. It should be now. Let's say it's 500. It should be the other way around. 1 franc inakuwa $500 because nza inacho yagala. I have the minerals. I have everything. I have the gold. Go mutwala no tunda guamanyi. And that is something people just need to know. You are the one. One of our leaders, they are greedy people, but those ones are done. They are going. It's a new breed. People need to wake up and think about it. And we have social media to do that for us.
2,660 Congolese franc for $1.
Leader. Singa minerals. Chisesa.
Exactly.
Anti-dollar na really just idealistic. Tena backing. So maybe no zolina mu back ya tezigikwatako.
So but okitegeera abantu bw'onaatandika obasomesa mbu gwe nannyini lwa kino, you're supposed to be getting more. If more and more people knew that, then a referendum would come out, then something else, then okitegeera banabaye batya nabo. When you make enough noise, people will be like,
Umar, it's good that you guys have come now to the information age. And the information age we are on, tujiwadde dakika nyingi. We need, this video is going to go out there, and I believe it's going to do a good job on waking up people. Yeah. And that is the first step we can do. Ngera wenabadde wali mbagamba nti Arabian Spring is the right way to go. Naye jukira ne Arabian Spring was stopped after Egypt. Okitegeera, because they knew how sharp it was. So ekyo kimu tukibaddeko. Kati ekyokubiri, I think Stella mentioned it. Tulina okubeera nti tuli self-sustaining nga black people. Okubeera nti yes, Umar can say nti ffenna tugamba baddugavu tuleme kola 72 hours. It's good, but it's unfeasible. Lwaki? Because we are so dependent on the system. Not until we start telling our people to go back and make their own food. Not until we tell our people to stop being dependent ku town. Abantu batuletera education system ngetujja mu mafaamu gaffe mu mataka gaffe kututwala mu towns and cities kutu promising until you'll be given a job. Ne batumakinga dependent oba ne batusiba chains ezokubeera nti tulina kusasulwa per check. Now we have to start spreading the word to the people nti bannaye ettaka ly'omukyalo eryo ly'olina yiikayo omukyalo ze mulina esobola obba freeyinga ne mubeera nti tojja kwetaaga nakumati, tojja kwetaaga anieno zonna ezo zi supermarkets. Okiwulira bw'okeera enkyanga olina lumondewo, olina ebijanjaalo byo, olina ebinyeebwa byo by'olima. Okiwulira tojja kussaayo sente nti ogule emmere every day. So osobola okugamba nti nze sijja kukolera gwe muzungu gwe, sigenda kukolera gwe company gwe annemeseza for a week, gwe company gwe asponsoring olutalo mu Palestine oba sponsoring wa, sigenda kukolera kuba because nina emmere mu my sellers gye natereka. Okiwulira naye as long as tukyali dependent ku zi supermarkets, it's hard to break that chain. Kati kiki kyengezaako okugamba, gwampuliriza tandika okugamba abantu bo eka gy'onyooma, ekyalo ekyo ky'onyooma, enkumbi eyo walinga ogirabanga punishment. Si punishment, yegenda okufreeyinga, yegenda okusettinga free. Gwe alina ettaka eddene, find a way. Oba ofuna bank loan, genda ofune abasibe obasasule bakulimire. Funamu yiika za kasooli, funamu yiika za lumonde, genda otundeko 70%, terekako 25%. You're wealthy. You're going to be wealthy. Otandika butandisi. Not until tuddamu okubeera nti Africa tetudependingira ku basajja bano kutuwa sente. Abo abasajja bonna balimbyemba ba presidents baffe nti balina otuwola, balina otukola ki. Naye tubanga tuli self-sustaining. Ebyo nabyo tugamba nti I like your analogy okubeera nti nze Stella nina embuzi zange 2 njijjamu amata nenkola cheese. We cannot do all that until we start seeing our background acres, background plots of land, nti that's our wealth. Abantu baffe batunza amataka bagenda mu slavery.
Can you imagine?
Abaana batunda amataka n'agenda awaayo million 12 bamuwe visa, naye ng'agenda ku slavery, tagenda kufunamu ssente okumala emyezi 6, okumala emyaka 10 gy'amaze oba emyaka 2 gye bamuwadde. We need
Actually,
to
obudde nga tumaliza obudde butukutte naye.
So, I mean, this was so good. I think we can make this a 2-part or
Kozesa, yeah, you can actually make your final submission. Akatalekeka.
So akatalekeka. I mean, let's not stop here. Kino kitandise ate on kufenna abayina emikwano abayina podcast like that, we can ask them to do something the same. Kitambule. The information will get there. And we need to start adding on these on how to do's. Okubeera ntwongerako kwezo zenjogedde sijja kwongerako ndala kuba gye ziri obudde bungi, we can't finish them, naye tulina okutandikira awo kubanga at the end of the day amagezi gonna gatandikira ku ffe abantu ffe abatandikawo humanity era ffe abagenda okugikomyawo. Ebyo byebyange.
Julius.
I don't know why I cannot. Okay, I'm unmuted. I think in Agama Chunchimu, just by Shafi's conclusion, Stella Tukweta Gokomeo, this has been awesome. Discussion to start Jimalayo into being the plan already to look state Muzichari Ninji Nae. It's been awesome. Ngabuli Joe. To meeting Kuwayamu, and we share the knowledge that we have, and I think this has been good.
Actual final submission.
Nze neebaza omugenyi waffe okujja n'atuwa ebintu ebiri eye opening nga byayogedde leero, especially naddala okutujja emabega okutulaga how these people came with their plans and their plans are still running up to now. Simanyi oba bakyazi balina engeri gye baddamu ne batuula ne bazongeramu basobole okuwangaaza obufuzi bwabwe. Naye nze I've always believed I think there is always gonna be some extraordinary powers ezijja okubeera nga zireetera amawanga okufuga ku nsi eno. So it might not be our time now, or it might not be anytime soon, but that time
it might even be our time.
Like whichever way. At the end of that day, kasita race yaffe ebeera nga eri ku ntikko kye kigenda osinga okubeera ekirungi. But nze kyemmanyi nti ate ffe we tunaabeerayo tujja kubeerayo ddala lwa nsonga nti Africa is like a sleeping giant kubanga yo eri self-sustaining, erina buli kimu, esobola okwerimira emmere, esobola okwekolera factories, ate nno ng'emmere gye balya emmere nnungi, balina fresh water, tebeetaaga amazzi gaabwe kugaprocessinga kugajjamu munnyo oba kugakola ki. So at the end of it all ffe tujja kubeera yo waggulu okusinga omuntu omulala yenna kubanga buli kimu tukirina. So tukwebaza okujja era singa osigala ojja wansi naweera abantu n'obabuulira pulaani ezo kuba Umaru ye ayina pulaani engeri gy'agambu okyogera otya ziri set in motion.
It's already rolling.
Taxi yavudde dda mu paaka.
So ebyo byange.
Okay, Stella, your final words.
Pananga, you guys, thank you so much for having me. The biggest thing is that tubeereyo netwenyoma and we'll be like, Pananga, I want to know what to say, I want to know what to do, but gwenga woli ampulira anywhere that you are in the world where you find yourself. Abesanze, you're working on a cruise ship in where you have so much to tell us. What is happening there? We've never been there. We have weak passports. Abesanze, Oman, Pananga, come tell us. abesanze Antarctica, they are working on what, abali deep sea fishing, abali what, all of you, wherever you are, whether your voice shakes, whether you don't say it the right way, whether okubi embogo, whether okozeseza lulimi ki, gwe jangu tugambe. You are the one, like, bw'otateeka muliro in this fire, the fire will go out. And then the other thing is, we have to remember that siko tuli ku yakutaano, tuli ku part 50. They have been consistently dehumanizing us. And fefe nyini abagenda ogenda, and we remind ourselves. So olina okutandika with your existence. Olabe, where is the wealth in this thing? The way that I exist on a day to day. What is for real? Nchijemu. That's when you start to think, let me not sell it for a visa. Kubanga abali omani baba jemu kidney. Dinetaka, let me not do this. Let me actually really focus and really make something out of it. No, if you start thinking about yourself as someone who's wealthy, even like leftovers, you put them in the trash. You can use that as fuel. You can put it, it's not even hard. A good plastic bag, and you coat it with a chemical. I told you about gamma chemical, gamma formaldehyde. No. Just Google real quickly on the chemical. Like everything is where you are. The things that you use on a daily basis. The end product is this, the what. So you get the big plastic bag, you wrap it, you put in water. Then you put all your trash in there. That's how they compost. And when I'm like a week, that solution oji you kubintu bwoti ku bijanjalo byosimbye ku matoke go, and it's good fertilizer. And then the gas that comes out of that, you can use it to cook. Tetwetaaga kusasula yaka, electricity is free, all these things we can get it for free. So there's so much we can do. And again, this is my first time really doing a podcast. So, and information is nyingi. So nyinzo kuberanga nabadde nzije eno nzije Munsonyiwe, if that was the case. But I am so excited for this next chapter as Africans. I am so excited. Bemutumye no abali kucheyo, we are studying for you. We are saving money. We are sending money back home. We are joining mutual aid groups. We are doing what? We are asking for grants. We are doing all of these things so that we can unite and do actionable things that our fellow Africans can see on ground. Jetuli, we are learning how to fight fires. We are learning how to resuscitate people so that we can come and do those things for you. Now, Jolie, even if you're lonely and you're stressed out and you miss people speaking Luganda and you miss Rolex, hang in there. Just hang in there, whatever skill it is that you're learning. We learn how to deal with Balalu. And we need people to take care of them.
And
so
when that time
wherever
comes
you are,
and it's your part in the plan, you're going to lead.
we want you to be revealed and not exposed. When the time comes, when they put the microphone in your face, we want you to just be revealed in your fullness. We don't want you to feel exposed. So we are giving you the tools that you need to train for that moment. Just look around, all over, around you, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all other Africans are giving you what it is to stand into your identity as an African and take your inheritance. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Banange. I think it's our longest podcast so far. 2 hours. Naye mujja tugumira mpola mpola. You can watch it in bits. Pozo okugamba ku Shafi kyabadde agamba the plan. Sometimes you try to stretch the vision a little bit. Nete kitegeeza mbu no etuva ku eno step ate kati eyeddako, immediately. But you're just making sure people expand the field of view. And okay, there will be a certain time when we say, now we all connect to this, and then but obato preparing the bantu, it might be a little hard. Banange, you should trust the process. Don't trust me, I'm just a mere mortal, but you don't know. I don't know also.
Trust yourselves.
Trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. Plan again. It's going to work. It's the beginning of a beautiful time for the rest of all mankind. Actually, all mankind. Not even going to say black people, because when black people are happy, all mankind is
Everyone's happy.
Everyone is happy. Everyone is happy. So, time to take back what rightfully belongs to ours. Time to have peace. Time to enjoy life. Time to enjoy life. Look at the world and appreciate its beauty. Banange. Sigena kwogera nnyo kusukkawo wano. But we're glad we had you on the show today, Stella.
Thank
Hope
you
come
for
back
having
soon.
me, Nambi.
And then we'll see the next part in the plan. That one is going to be very controversial. Julius, I'm sure you're going to be very, very ogenda bawa mugaso nnyo mweyo part. But yeah, Tomanya, if she's available next weekend, to come out to Ogerem. But anyway, maybe we shall break it down in Pola so that everybody comes in our input, just so you know how we can do these things. It's not a monopoly. Mubeere bulungi, tetuyinza kusukkawo wano. Mweraba.